Went to users and said that which brand of instant noodles that do you like to have? Instant noodles क्या होता है? Like, अच्छा आप मैगी बोल रहे हो? हाँ ये हम तो मैगी खाते हैं. And then from that sense we had to actually position ये वाली मैगी अच्छी लगी कि ये वाली मैगी अच्छी लगी. 2 years down the line when I went to do research, it's like ये वाली मैगी या ये लाल मैगी. Then 1 year hence we were actually known by our brand, although mispronounced, we were called Yippee Noodles.
Coming to ITC now, legendary organization. अभी तो खैर बहुत सारे memes बनते हैं उसके stock price के ऊपर, but definitely, I mean, anybody that I know who's ever worked at ITC always says that they learnt a lot in that organization. So tell us about that time. I think you started off actually in South India, right? So although you were from, so was it that because you were from Mumbai, you were sent to South India to experience that market?
Yeah, I think ITC's philosophy is that if you're from one region, they just send you to an opposite region. But when it comes to TN in Kerala, they try to send people who at least know the language because learning gets completely diluted. And looking at my name, they must have figured out that I would be fluent in Tamil, which I wasn't. But yeah, that was my experience. I was sent to rural Tamil Nadu and then rural Andhra as well. So that was 3 years of sales in...
So did you become impatient during those days? कि यार कब brand manager बनने के लिए आया था? Sales ही करवा रहे इतने time तक?
No, quite the opposite. I feel like those 3 years were the most important and the most life-changing years of my life. Although I was looking forward to brand management and all of that, the lives that shaped me as a person was those sales years, because what that stint does is puts you in the middle of a team, a large team, right? I was 24, 25, and I was leading a team of 70 people. And you know, these are people who have spent 10, 12 years on the field doing the work, and then suddenly this person comes in who's just fresh out of college, and then that person is supposed to lead you. So it's a very, very challenging role. So I felt like I learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about leadership as part of that stint. There are some who take this for granted that there will be somebody from college who will come and lead us. And a lot of the sales roles are sometimes hierarchical. So there are people who will say that, okay, the first day you come in, they'll be like, sir, bataiye kya karna hai. So these are like one set of people.
Sarcastically saying, sir, bataiye kya karna hai. You mean to say, okay.
Yeah, so that's one set of people. The other set would be those who are extremely defensive. They will come and oppose everything that you say. But the thing is, with logic, you are able to convince them and you are able to show what value you are able to add. And then there is this third segment, which is a very, very interesting segment. And luckily, I had a couple of such people in my team. There was this young chap called Senthil, who was equally brilliant, equally sharp. And I realized that there is nothing that separates me and him, right? It is just that I have had the privilege to go to a B school and I have had that thappa of an IIM on me, but fundamentally he's smarter than me. He has spent more years on the field, and to lead this segment I felt is the most challenging one. It really pulls out what you are made of. So I had to like really work hard with this person. So I sort of accepted it right away, and I confessed to him that also, that look, you're way smarter than me. Let's work together. Let's treat this as a problem. And over the period of 2 years, I think I was able to win him over through some bits of compassion, some bits of dedication. And you realize what your strengths are when you are put in these situations. So I think that's what the FMCG role is all about. I don't know whether it is glamorous now or it isn't, but anybody looking to do an MBA or looking to get into marketing as a space, I feel like the sales stint really grounds you as a person. It gives you the learning and the understanding of how purchases happen, what users do, how trade reacts, and also most importantly, it teaches you team management.
So how did you finally decide to become, or how did you manage to bag the opportunity to work for foods division, because obviously ITC has cigarettes, it has paper and packaging, and there are various products even there, and there is personal care. So how did foods happen, and how did Yippee Noodles happen? Did you like gun for it?
So my sales experience was also in foods.
Okay.
So that helped. So people who typically work in a specific business unit, so if you worked in sales of a specific business unit, then, and if you do well, you're likely to go into the brand role for that unit. So it was more like a natural transition. And Yippee was just pure chance. Like we were 8-10 of us going into the brand roles, and I don't know whether it was lottery or it was just pure chance.
So tell us about some highs now that you became. First you became, I think, an assistant brand manager, then you became a brand manager, leading, at that time it was how many 1,000 crores?
It was 1,000 crores.
1,000 crores, right? So I mean 1,000 crores for somebody who's still probably not even 30 or just about 30, leading a brand of that sort. So what were the highs and lows of that time?
So yeah, so when I went in, this was the precise challenge, right? It is the category which is known by the competitor, and it was such a, like, while the numbers and all are there, we grew to 1,000 crore brand and all of that. I think some of the interesting challenges that we had was, again, how do you pick a user segment to go after, right? You know that there's no way a Maggi loyalist will move out of Maggi. There's just so much nostalgia. There's so much attachment to that product. It is more than the product. It is emotions. So you have to find a niche, right? And I feel like a lot of young entrepreneurs, we met a few just before the talk as well, and I sensed the entrepreneurial energy, segmenting markets and all of that. And at that time we used to do similar things, right? Like to understand who could be users, who could be adopters. So there were a couple of insights. I won't take credit for it, but the insights were strong. One was that if you go to tier 3, tier 4, or even rural India, a lot of cooking happens, the noodles is actually a meals, and the cooking happens in small round utensils. And by design, Maggi, you will have to break it and then cook it. And then the insight was that kids really love to slurp long noodles. So why don't you make a block that is round, right? So we went sharp after the rural segment, that is one. Second is young kids who are now going to start consuming noodles. So you target young mothers and look at that as a segment and make your own niche. So that's how we approached the problem. And for everything there was an insight, right? Like what do young kids like to do, and how do you make the slurping experience better? What were the pain points with Maggi? The fact that it lumps out after some time is the biggest pain point that kids felt. So we solved for all of these, and we went after the right target segment. And we were the first ones, like in the history, Maggi's been around from the 70s. We went up to a 22-23% market share. While all of these numbers are there, the way I internalized...
That's phenomenal. 20 to 23% by going after the monopolistic guy, challenging them from scratch. And it's not like there weren't other people who had tried. There were other players as well.
The only one prior to this was Top Ramen, who had gotten to a 6-7% share and then again went to 1 or 2% share. I don't know how the market is now, but when I was leaving, it was this way. So it was Maggi at 65, we were at 22, and then everybody else was sub 2. So yeah, so while the numbers were a big win for me, experientially how I internalized the wins were when I first started doing research with consumers. I was the purest evergreen. But so went to users and said that which brand of instant noodles do you like to have? The users were like, instant noodles क्या होता है? Like, अच्छा आप मैगी बोल रहे हो? हाँ हाँ ये हम तो मैगी खाते हैं. And then from that stance we had to actually position ये वाली मैगी अच्छी लगेगी, ये वाली मैगी अच्छी लगेगी. So that's the exact way in which we had to do our research. And then a year, 2 years down the line, there was some improvement, and we were only going to our target segments, right? And we did see brand recall being high from the sense that 2 years down the line when I went to do research, it was like, ये वाली मैगी या ये लाल मैगी? because we were red in color. So like we graduated to become Lal Maggi. Then 1 year hence, we were actually known by our brand, although mispronounced, we were called Yippee Noodles. The big win was identifying the segment and making sure that the product solves for the need for that segment. Till date, my friends don't know how successful Yippee has been, because all my friends, like the room here, won't know about Yippee Noodles. But I made peace with that. I think it was a great time and a great journey for me.